My childhood sweetheart once celebrated a birthday at home with a poor female student, which ended in a fire caused by drunkenness. In my previous life, I only managed to drag him out of the flames in a dying state. His legs were crushed by a collapsing beam, and my entire body was burned, my face forever disfigured. But when he woke up, he believed I had deliberately ruined his legs and was using my burned face as an excuse to tie him to me. He blamed me for not saving the girl he longed for day and night. Later, he even accused me of starting the fire out of unrequited love. I was hunted by online public opinion and driven to death by the vicious words of strangers. Now that I've come back to life, I choose not to interfere anymore. On my 20th birthday, my parents threw a grand party. All our close relatives and friends came to celebrate. Halfway through the party, my childhood sweetheart Jonathan kept checking his phone and glancing at the door, clearly waiting for someone and eager to leave. Jonathan's mother frowned and said disapprovingly, "Jonathan, today is Jessica's birthday. If you're not staying here with her, where else could you possibly want to go?" Jonathan quickly took my hand affectionately. "Mom, of course I want to be with Jessica. We grew up together. I've always spent her birthday with her. I just thought the full moon tonight is so beautiful. I wanted to take her out to enjoy it." Hearing that, Jonathan's mother snorted but looked pleased. "All right, take Jessica out for a bit, but come back soon to cut the cake. Don't play too long." As soon as she finished speaking, Jonathan dragged me away, completely ignoring that I was wearing 15-centimeter stiletto heels, uncomfortable and hard to walk in. But at that moment, the thrill of being reborn and the excitement of soon watching him become disabled blurred all my reason. Heaven truly has eyes. I was brought back to life to seek justice for myself. As soon as we stepped into the yard, Jonathan eagerly called the poor female student named Callista. "Callista, did you get the flowers and cake? I promised to celebrate your birthday with you, and I'll keep my word. I just went to buy your gift, and I'm on my way to your house now. Really, I swear, see you soon." In my past life, hearing those words made my eyes brim with tears of rage. Clearly, I was the one who grew up with him, the one who wore overalls with him as a child. We had promised to marry when we grew up. He was the one who helped me reject all suitors, who gave me roses symbolizing love every birthday and holiday. He once said his feelings for me were never brotherly, but romantic. I believed him so much that I gave up Tsinghua and Peking University and chose a university just to be with him. Because of him, I didn't hesitate to charge into the flames. Even when my face was burned, I never complained, as long as he was alive. Yet that genuine love earned me nothing but 6 months of his constant humiliation and accusations. In the end, he even framed me for a crime I never committed, turning me into a target of fierce online abuse. In pain and despair, I threw myself into a lake and ended my life in bitter cold, suffocation, and ultimate agony. In that moment, I suddenly saw things clearly. I did nothing wrong. Why did I have to suffer such inhumane torment? Now that I've been reborn, Jonathan, it's your turn. After the call, Jonathan turned to me with a guilty expression. "Jessica, I'm sorry. I have to go celebrate Callista's birthday. Everyone is here to celebrate yours, but she's all alone. I must go." I smiled gently and nodded understandingly. "Yes, Callista needs you more. I'll handle your mother. I'll keep this a secret. Oh, and don't forget to wish Callista a happy birthday for me." Jonathan stopped in his tracks, turning back to look at me suspiciously. "You're being unusually obedient. No sulking, no drama. Are you planning to run straight inside and tell my mom as soon as I leave?" Honestly, that would have been the old me. I loved him, and this was my birthday, a significant day. Not to mention, I knew it wasn't even Callista's birthday. She was just good at copying me. When I had a birthday, she wanted one too. When I got sick, she got sick too. Time and again, all coincidences. Only a fool like Jonathan would genuinely believe she was a fragile white lotus who needed protection. I smiled slightly, my eyes hiding a cold glint. "Of course not. I just suddenly figured something out." He frowned, voice doubtful. "What is it?" I looked up at the bright full moon above. It's the same moon, but it looks completely different from the ocean floor than it does from land. I looked at him intently and smiled as brilliantly as that moon, though my eyes held only ice. I used to use our childhood bond and our childhood engagement to tie you down, but the truth is, you haven't loved me for a long time. On my 20th birthday, I return your freedom and liberate myself too. I wish you and Callista a lifetime of happiness and beautiful children. Jonathan gave a mocking smile, clearly disbelieving. Jessica, if you've really figured that out, then I'm happy for you. I've always seen you as a little sister after all. Then he reached out and patted my head dotingly. Good girl. Let me finish Callista's birthday party, and I'll come back to you. I promise to spend every birthday with you. I haven't forgotten. He really was the classic scumbag, keeping me in a vague emotional limbo while tangling endlessly with Callista. It was truly my deep love for him that made him glow in my eyes. But it's fine. In just about an hour, he'll become a cripple. The thought made my smile brighter than his. I even waved goodbye sweetly. Gentle piano music began to play. I walked into the crowd and casually picked a more handsome gentleman to dance with. Jonathan's mother came over, her face full of guilt as she softly apologized. It's my fault for spoiling Jonathan too much. Jessica, don't worry. When we get home, I'll definitely discipline him strictly. As she spoke, she removed the jade bracelet she had worn for decades from her wrist and personally fastened it on mine, smiling sincerely. I'm sorry for what happened today. I promise it won't happen again. The bracelet was made of top-grade emerald green jade and could easily fetch over $300 million at auction. Her humble gesture wasn't without reason. Because the rapid rise of Jonathan from a small company with a few hundred employees to a now publicly listed corporation was largely thanks to my family, the Jessicas. If I, the only daughter of the Jessica family, hadn't grown up close to Jonathan, the Jonathans would never have had the chance to change their fate like this. Over the years, Jonathan had treated me very well, and his parents treated me like a precious gem. In my previous life, I refused this jade bracelet because I felt it was inappropriate to accept something so valuable when I hadn't officially married into the Jonathan family yet. But now, I just felt that it matched perfectly with the light jade green cheongsam I was wearing. I smiled radiantly. Auntie, he just had something urgent to take care of. I truly don't mind at all. My parents don't blame him either. As long as you and Uncle are here with me, I'm already very happy. After saying that, I lowered my head to check the time. By now, Jonathan should have arrived at Callista's house. She was a classic imitator. Knowing I liked wine and aromatherapy oils, she went out of her way to copy everything I did. At this very moment, the lights were probably dimmed, the essential oils lit, and she was likely dressed in sexy nightwear. The two of them were probably sipping wine and flirting already. Later, while getting intimate, they'd most likely forget that the oil lamp was still burning in the living room. Honestly, it's laughable, copying someone without even understanding how to do it right. This kind of scented oil should be high grade, and more importantly, the flame must be extinguished before leaving the room. I never did it myself, because the housekeepers always handled it. But Callista? She was a fool with no one around. That night, fireworks lit up the sky in celebration of my birthday, filling the night with the blue hue I loved the most. While receiving birthday wishes from friends and family, I quietly used my newly installed burner phone to call 119. Callista lived in a suburban villa, a place with beautiful scenery and total privacy. That's why, when the fire broke out, no one noticed. In my previous life, I had rushed there myself just to hear Jonathan's birthday wishes first. If I hadn't, he probably would have died in that sea of fire. But this time, I wasn't going anywhere. Still, letting them die so easily didn't sit right with me. The timing of the emergency call was perfect. Callista survived but suffered extensive burns, especially to her once delicate and pitted face, which was now too horrible to look at. Jonathan, just like in my past life, had his leg crushed by a collapsing beam. His bones shattered, nerves damaged, and in the end, his leg had to be amputated. News of the accident broke just as my birthday party ended. Many of the guests were mutual acquaintances, and upon hearing what happened, they rushed to the hospital. The place was soon crowded with concerned visitors. Jonathan, what exactly happened? You were just at Jessica's birthday party. Why did you suddenly go to the suburbs? How did a fire even break out? Jonathan had just had his leg amputated. Even though he was under heavy painkillers, a pampered man like him had never endured this kind of suffering. He was in so much pain, he couldn't even speak. So I stepped in to explain for him. He went to celebrate Callista's birthday, the poor girl I used to sponsor. But from our sophomore year onward, Jonathan took over the sponsorship. I guess he thought the 3,000 yuan I sent monthly was enough, so he gave her 30,000 instead, maybe even more. He even gave her a secondary credit card for unlimited spending. My light and casual words left everyone stunned. These were all adults, no one was stupid. They instantly grasped the situation and looked at the pale, bedridden Jonathan with complex expressions. My parents' faces immediately darkened. Jonathan's mother hurried to smooth things over. Jonathan has always been kind and loved helping others. From now on, if he wants to support someone, it must go through the family's charity foundation to avoid being taken advantage of. Jessica, dear, don't misunderstand. There's absolutely nothing going on between him and that girl. It's just a misunderstanding. He's always said that once he graduated, he'd marry you. We even nearly finalized the hotel for your wedding. Clearly, they were trying to guilt-trip me into marrying a man who had just lost his leg. But my parents had always cherished me like a precious jewel. They would never let me suffer such humiliation. Before they could speak, I responded first. Auntie, didn't Jonathan already tell you that he's always seen me as a younger sister? He said it himself at my birthday party today. I've already made things clear to him, too. I wished him and Callista a lifetime of happiness and many children. As for me, I've only ever thought of him as an older brother. I smiled sweetly and turned to look at the pale-faced Jonathan lying on the hospital bed. Jonathan, I've explained your feelings clearly to Uncle and Auntie. Aren't you happy? Oh, and where's your wife? I heard she was severely burned. Don't worry, Uncle and Auntie won't let their future daughter-in-law suffer. I'm sure they'll find the best doctors to treat her. To be honest, we're all adults now. Why play with fire, literally? So careless. Very well then. That was the final straw, the last drop that broke the camel's back. Jonathan's parents' expressions turned pitch black with shame. My father let out a cold snort and firmly declared, since Jonathan already has someone in his heart, consider the engagement with my daughter cancelled. Don't ever bring it up again. With one sentence, he closed all possibilities between me and Jonathan. No matter how unwilling Jonathan's parents were, they had no choice but to accept it. This was Jonathan's fault. He doesn't deserve Jessica. The Northern Villa District will be Jessica's compensation. We've had many years of cooperation. Let's not ruin it over one ungrateful child. Still, my parents' expressions remained grim. We weren't short on money, and Jonathan's betrayal was a direct slap in the face. Maintaining our business relationship was already a huge concession. My parents might scoff at money, but I didn't. I nodded politely and replied, Uncle, you're too kind. I've always seen Jonathan as an older brother. As I spoke, I raised my hand to show off the vibrant, translucent jade bracelet. This is a gift Annie just gave me. It's truly beautiful. I love it. If you two don't mind, I'd love to be your goddaughter. That way, I can come eat Auntie's delicious seafood porridge openly in the future. Those words instantly softened their expressions. Auntie grabbed my hand emotionally. Good girl, come by anytime. Your godmother will always cook for you. I replied sweetly, yes, godmother. I won't be shy about it in the future. The mood in the room turned warm and cheerful. No one paid any more attention to Jonathan lying in bed. Even if someone glanced his way, their eyes were full of disdain and mockery. He deserved it for cheating. From the start, for the sake of mutual benefit, the Jonathan family had treated me well, and our families had cooperated on many business projects. If we were to sever ties suddenly, the financial losses would be significant. The Northern Villa project was Jonathan Corp's largest real estate development in recent years, worth at least $500 million. This time, their generosity was actually a desperate attempt to avoid total fallout with us. You could even say it was like cutting off their own flesh. Of course, I agreed to be adopted by them, but it wasn't just for the money. There was another purpose as well: to gain legitimate access to the Jonathan family's home and secretly sow discord between them and Callista. I wanted Jonathan and her to never have a peaceful life. At this time, the real estate market was booming. After receiving the villa from my uncle on the Jonathan side, I immediately put it up for sale. Within a few days, it was sold out, and the money flowed in like water. My personal assets skyrocketed, and I became a small wealthy woman, respected in underground business circles. Meanwhile, I continued doing small tasks in my parents' company while quietly expanding my investments in stocks, e-commerce, and media. With capital in hand, what I pursued was freedom and indulgence. As my investments grew, my father began to advise me seriously. Jessica, having ambition is good, but you need to take steady steps. You've always been independent and I've never stopped you, but I want you to slow down a bit. The initial phase should be spent learning about the market, attending more events, expanding your network, and gathering information. Business can't be rushed. My mother, sitting beside him, nodded in agreement. That's right, Jessica, money matters, but it's okay to take some losses. We're just afraid of you being discouraged. That would be more unfortunate. I smiled and nodded, then handed them my financial report. In just over a month, my net profit exceeded the combined profits of the 3 listed companies owned by my family. Furthermore, I received numerous investment partnership offers from major players in the industry. My parents were increasingly astonished as they reviewed the report. By the time they reached the last page, my father could no longer contain his excitement. As expected of my beloved daughter, you truly have the ability. Your investment accuracy is unmatched, and everything is based on market indicators. You're still too cautious, though. Wait, let me have the finance department transfer funds to your company.
For now, $5 billion.
If that's not enough, just let me know. We don't need anyone else to invest in our family's business. It was laughable how quickly they turned around. From criticizing my recklessness, now they were telling me I was too cautious. They immediately launched a comprehensive expansion strategy for the company, shifting from traditional industries to e-commerce, even heavily investing in high-tech fields like new energy vehicles, artificial intelligence, and robotics. There was plenty of money, and the government was backing them. Within a short period, the Jessica family became the center of the business world, hailed as the leaders of the era. As the highest-ranking manager, I arranged everything smoothly and then quietly stepped back, starting to live a more relaxed life. The reason was simple. Jonathan and Callista had been discharged from the hospital, and now I needed some free time to take care of them. Before that, I had been quite busy. I hired an online writer to use the fire accident as a backdrop, creating a tragic love story about the two of them, one that was moving and full of devotion. I then hired a media team to spread it across all platforms, including major social media sites and newspapers. Because of this, Callista was able to avoid being kicked out of the Jonathan family and even got them to pay for a VIP room and hire the best doctors for her treatment. I brought a huge basket of fresh fruit that no one could finish from the dining room, knocked on Jonathan's door, which was in the same luxury villa complex. Today was their discharge day, and the atmosphere in the house should have been filled with joy, but it was unusually cold and gloomy. Only when I walked in did Jonathan's aunt, whose face had been cold as ice, finally soften into a bright smile. Jessica, you've been so busy lately, and you still took the time to visit. I'm really happy to see you. Wait a moment, I'll call your uncle to tell him to come home early after his meeting. Look at you, Jessica, you've lost weight lately. Are you not eating well? I'm really worried about you. Her warmth caused Callista, who was sitting alone on the sofa, to look distorted with jealousy. To be honest, it was hard to read her expression because her once beautiful face had been nearly destroyed by the fire. Her menacing appearance now was hard to tell if it was due to emotion or severe burn scars. Jonathan scolded sternly. Why didn't you visit me in the hospital? I texted you, but you didn't reply. Before I could respond, Jonathan's aunt interjected coldly. Jessica has a legitimate reason. Over the past time, she built a media company from scratch and rose to the top in the industry. She's also led the e-commerce live stream sector to international markets and even opened new shipping routes. From now on, when you talk to Jessica, you'd better show some respect. She's now my adopted daughter, and if you upset her, I'll make sure to deal with you properly. Her voice was full of authority, without any attempt to hide the threat. Her cold gaze toward Callista seemed like it could freeze the entire room. If it weren't for her, I would have been the legitimate daughter-in-law of the Jonathan family by now. The multi-billion-dollar business deals would have been shared with them.
But now?
No money, their only son crippled, and the family was a laughingstock. What a perfectly good game ruined by her. Jonathan's face turned dark, and he said nothing, only remaining silent. Callista's eyes welled with tears, and she tried to make herself appear pitiful. In the past, her tears were delicate and heartbreaking, but now, with her severely burned face and body, she resembled a monster with acute conjunctivitis, looking more horrifying with each glance. I seized the opportunity to say I wanted some seafood porridge, and Jonathan's aunt happily instructed the servant to prepare it. I then began to plant the seeds for the next confrontation. Jonathan, I'm sorry I didn't visit you sooner. Part of it was because I was so busy, but also because I didn't want Callista to misunderstand and be upset. After all, we've known each other since childhood, and we've been through so many important moments together. If it hadn't been for you insisting on fulfilling your promise to be with me on my birthday that day, I wouldn't have rushed off to wish Callista a happy birthday and almost got into a car accident by running a red light. Though I was fine in the end, I still feel a chill when I think about it. In Callista's eyes, I was always a threat. She usually hated it when I said such things, and now, after the accident, with her burned body and face, it was only worse. Adding to that the favoritism and sarcasm from Jonathan's aunt earlier, she finally exploded. She suddenly jumped up from the sofa, pointed her finger at my face, and screamed venomously, Jessica, don't think just because you're his childhood friend, you can be shameless. Now everyone knows he's my boyfriend. You're a shameless mistress, a fox, a tramp. Get out of my house. You're not welcome here. Her arrogant voice was so loud that Aunt Jonathan, who was in the kitchen, immediately came rushing out. Upon hearing it, her face turned pale with anger, making her shake with rage. She immediately shouted, Who do you think you are to chase Jessica out? I'm only letting you stay because of Jonathan. Do you think I don't know about all the dirty tricks you use to seduce others? Jonathan ended up like this because of you, didn't he? You may have deceived him, but you can't fool me. You said it was your birthday, but your birthday was ages ago. You said you were isolated by your roommate, but in reality, you're just lazy and look down on others. And that so-called excellence you have is just money buying answers. You have so many lies. Do you want me to list them all? At once, Callista's face turned as red as blood, and she couldn't speak a word. Since the very first day Callista entered the hospital, Aunt Jonathan secretly had someone investigate her thoroughly. On the outside, she appeared to be a poor student diligently studying, but in reality, it was all an act, with nothing admirable about her. However, because Jonathan had lost his leg and was severely injured both physically and mentally, coupled with the pressure of public opinion, they were forced to keep her, unable to throw her out immediately. They thought that once her lies were exposed, she would come to her senses, but instead, she immediately started acting like the mistress of the Jonathan household, treating everyone with contempt. This was unbearable. Aunt Jonathan's silence stunned Jonathan. He couldn't believe his eyes, staring blankly at Callista and stammering, Callista, is everything my mom said true? Callista wanted to deny it, but facing Aunt Jonathan's cold, sharp gaze, she didn't dare open her mouth. The truth was now completely clear. Jonathan, whose heart had always been protected and pampered, couldn't handle the shock. He was both furious and disappointed. Callista, you deceived me. Why did you have to lie to me? Callista panicked. Jonathan, listen to me, let me explain. I didn't mean it. I was just too jealous of Jessica. I was afraid she would take you away, so I lied about it being my birthday. You have to believe me. I really love you.
I was just so scared of losing you.
Her reason still had a certain power over a man like Jonathan, who was still deeply in love. Despite his anger, Jonathan ultimately chose to forgive her. After all, what had happened had already been done, and scolding her wouldn't change anything. However, in his agitation, his wound reopened, and the doctor immediately had to take him back to his room for treatment. Aunt Jonathan went back to the kitchen to prepare seafood porridge. At this point, Callista stopped pretending and glared at me with hatred. Jessica, don't think I don't know you still love Jonathan and want to take him away from me. Let me tell you, don't dream. He's mine, and he only loves me. Even if I'm disfigured, he'll still love me. He already said, once I recover, we'll get married. He'll throw a grand wedding and make me his rightful wife. We'll have 3 lovely children. I lightly twisted the jade bracelet on my wrist and sneered. Callista, if it were before, I might have believed those words were true. But now look at yourself. You look like a monster with a burnt face, reeking of scorched flesh. How can you talk about love? You've seen the way Uncle and Aunt Jonathan treat me. Oh, by the way, I bet you've forgotten about this jade bracelet, haven't you? Aunt Jonathan personally handed it to me and told me not to hesitate to accept it. Jonathan loves you? How long do you think he will love you? Even if it weren't for me, there would still be countless beautiful girls ready to throw themselves at him. I'm curious to see how long you'll continue lying to yourself. After I said that, I stood up and walked out gracefully, ignoring her frantic screams behind me. I had pushed her to the edge, made Jonathan uncomfortable, and stirred up a good drama at the Jonathan household. My goals had all been achieved, and it was indeed a beautiful day. Driven mad by my provocation, Callista started causing a scene, demanding Jonathan pay for her plastic surgery. She wanted implants, a facelift, breast augmentation, anything to make her look beautiful again. At first, Jonathan pretended to be heartbroken, saying it wasn't necessary, that surgery was painful, and he didn't want her to suffer. But after she threw a few tantrums, he agreed, even asking his parents to hire the best plastic surgeons for her. After all, he couldn't stand looking at her horrifying face. Cosmetic surgery is a long process, requiring years of monitoring and treatment. The young and handsome plastic surgeons, who were courteous and thoughtful, took care of her day and night, leading to close interactions. Meanwhile, Jonathan was struggling with rehabilitation, adjusting to his prosthetic leg, enduring both physical and emotional pain, his spirit easily crumbling. So, I arranged for him a sweet, obedient, and gentle female nurse who was always by his side. With her constant care and comfort, his motivation to recover increased significantly. I thought they were inseparable, like soulmates. But who would have thought that in less than 2 months, both of them would cheat? I sent anonymous photos of Jonathan cheating with a nurse to Callista. After finishing a grafting surgery, she rushed to confront Jonathan to catch him in the act. Unfortunately, her luck wasn't good, and she couldn't catch them in bed. But that didn't stop her from barging in and slapping the nurse repeatedly. You shameless B********H. You dared to seduce my boyfriend. I'll kill you, you vixen. Everyone, come look. This is the mistress who shamelessly seduces men who are already in relationships. I'll post everything you've done online so the whole world knows how desperate you are for men, how cheap you are. Jonathan was furious and embarrassed, shouting at her, but it was useless. I had already arranged for reporters to record the entire scene, which was edited and uploaded to the internet that night. It was once a love story that made everyone envious. The young master from a prestigious family loved a Cinderella girl. Now, seeing these chaotic images, everyone just laughed. Wealthy families don't have true love. Jonathan's stock, which had only just stabilized after the crisis, plummeted again. Uncle and Aunt Jonathan were so furious they almost fainted and immediately wanted to stop all of Callista's surgery plans, forcing her to stay home. But now, Callista had gained the moral high ground, and she was no longer the fish on the chopping block. She threatened that if they didn't allow her to continue the surgery, she would break up with Jonathan and expose him to social media as a laughingstock. With no other choice, they had to compromise, agreeing to let her continue treatment while paying her a huge amount for emotional compensation. In return, they forced her to hold a press conference to declare that everything was a misunderstanding. Callista immediately agreed. The press conference went smoothly, but no one believed it. Instead, it only made people laugh. Without Jessica's support, Jonathan was nothing. A man who relied on others and couldn't even make a living on his own. What a fool. Jonathan began to visit me continuously. His parents no longer had the face to come asking for projects or cooperation, so they had to let him play the emotional card. But I was completely uninterested in continuing the conversation. After hiding in the parking lot for nearly a month, he finally caught the right moment to encounter me. If it had been before, with his personality, he would have certainly yelled at me, blamed me. Because he knew I loved him, he would act arrogantly. But now it's different. I no longer love him, and I am now one of the top 3 youngest billionaires in the country. Even his parents, when they see me outside, have to greet me politely. Hello, CEO Jessica. His voice now has lost the arrogance it once had and carried a bit of a tone to please. Jessica, I've looked for you many times, but you've always been busy. Are you free tonight? It's been so long since we've had a meal together. I shook my head, firmly rejecting him. Jonathan, it's not that I'm avoiding you, but I'm afraid to eat with you. I'm afraid Callista might suddenly go crazy. Jonathan's face turned pale, but he tried to keep his voice calm.
No, she won't.
Right now she's in surgery at the hospital. She doesn't have time to cause trouble. Besides, we've known each other since childhood, grew up together. What's the big deal about having a meal together? And if it weren't for you sponsoring her, Callista wouldn't have been able to enter university. She should be grateful to you. I scoffed, laughing coldly. Do you even believe that yourself? After saying that, I suddenly thought of something, hesitated for a moment, and then spoke in a tone that seemed somewhat uncertain. You've always been simple and kind-hearted, easy to trust others, but because of that, you've also fallen into traps. Have you ever thought about the fire incident before? Why did it happen by coincidence, and someone happened to call the firefighters in time? Also, you should reconsider Callista's recent changes. After the accident, when she became crippled like you, it's easy to be surrounded by doubts. Jonathan, once a proud young man, now less than half a year later, had become insecure, sensitive, and full of doubts. I gently dropped a few hints, and his face immediately changed. Even if Callista did something wrong, she wouldn't lie to you about this. Besides, she was badly burned in that fire. I sighed softly. But have you ever considered the possibility that all of this is just a play she set up to trap you? With her background, how could she have had the chance to marry into the Jonathan family before? Not to mention the status, even her background check was rejected by your aunt.
But now?
Not only did she enter the Jonathan household, but she also received a huge compensation. She even used public opinion to tie you to her. Now, any action you take is under scrutiny, and if you make a mistake, public opinion will devour you immediately. Meanwhile, she can do whatever she wants outside without worry. The words I spoke hit right at his inner pain. Jonathan immediately yelled, his voice full of anger. Impossible. Callista would never do that to me. You're just trying to cause trouble between us. I didn't argue anymore, just pulled out my phone and sent him the video of Callista cheating with the plastic surgeon. This video was sent to me by someone else. I paid $5 million to get exclusive rights and warned the surgeon to leave China. Jonathan, we grew up together. I loved you sincerely, and I really don't want to see you deceived by someone like her. I didn't say anything more, and left him to figure things out for himself. I drove away, leaving Jonathan standing in the parking lot, screaming in a frenzy of anger. For people like us, the most unforgivable thing is being played with, being betrayed, being made a fool for others to laugh at. Jonathan got all 3, and because of it he became crippled. For a hot-blooded man, this is a humiliation he cannot swallow. Sure enough, that night, Callista was taken by Jonathan's people and brought back. She had just finished breast surgery, was in so much pain she couldn't stand straight, yet she was dragged back home. When she arrived, she slapped him hard across the face. "Are you crazy? I just came out of surgery. Do you know how dangerous that is?" Usually, after being caught cheating, Jonathan would act like a submissive dog, always lowering his head, enduring, knowing his place, obediently following her orders. When she arrived home, not only did he not argue, but he also actively dried her hair and washed her feet, never resisting even when she yelled at him. But today was different. Jonathan raised his hand and slapped her twice in a row. Immediately, Callista's freshly reconstructed face swelled up, her cheek bearing clear red handprints, her lips torn open and bleeding. She clutched her face, horrified, screaming, "Jonathan, you dare hit me? What gives you the right to hit me? If it weren't for you, would I have ended up like this? Do you know how painful this surgery was? You've ruined the best years of my life. Do you think you're still the young master of the Jonathan family? Now, you're a cripple, a useless, impotent bastard who can't do anything, yet you dare hit me? I'll fight you to the death." As she spoke, she rushed at him, kicking and punching in a frenzy. But no matter how aggressive a woman is, she's no match for a grown man, especially one who has been training in rehabilitation exercises, with much stronger arm muscles now. He grabbed her hair and slammed her head into the coffee table, his eyes filled with fury. "A filthy, treacherous woman like you. Don't I have the right to hit you? Today, I'll hit you to death to vent my anger. Do you think I don't know you started the fire and faked your injuries to force me into marrying you? You used the suffering trick, and you almost tricked me. And now you dare accuse me of cheating? How many men have you slept with? The plastic surgeon, the nurse? I bet you didn't even spare the delivery guy." They clashed violently, fighting like the heavens were splitting. All the accumulated frustration, resentment, and hatred were released onto each other. Finally, when Jonathan's parents returned home from work and opened the door, they were horrified to find Callista lying motionless in a pool of blood. They screamed in panic and immediately called an ambulance. Callista's luck wasn't completely gone, though. If it had been just 3 minutes later, she would have lost too much blood and died. Though she was saved, the consequences were severe. The breast implants she had just gotten were shattered, and there were 3 deep lacerations on her head from hitting the corner of the table, leading to serious brain trauma. Her spine was broken, and from now on, she would be bedridden, becoming a complete invalid. Jonathan was sentenced to 8 years in prison for causing serious bodily harm. A crippled man sitting in prison. This pain and torment is 100 times worse than what a normal person would feel. Even though Jonathan's father used all his money and connections to try to reduce the sentence, it couldn't be lowered any further. Because Callista was determined to drag things out, refusing to withdraw her accusation, and the Jonathan family still had to bear the responsibility of supporting her, sending her to the best nursing facility. It was truly unbearable. Under this immense pressure, Aunt Jonathan couldn't stay calm anymore. She immediately arranged for a special caregiver to take care of Callista. Every day Callista lived was a day of atoning for the sins of her son. After this ordeal, both Uncle and Aunt Jonathan's hair turned gray in no time, and they no longer had the strength to manage the company. Looking around, the only person who was trustworthy, capable, and the closest to them was me. Eventually, they sold the company cheaply and handed full control over to me, while they began their journey to travel the world. They said that this life was truly a failure in being parents, failure in their careers, failure in life. For the rest of their lives, they just wanted to find themselves again. Dew also took their money. As for Jonathan, I had originally planned to leave him to rot in prison, letting him live or die as he pleased. If he survived and got out, I would deal with him then. But unexpectedly, he suddenly came to his senses, almost as if he had been given a second chance at life. He wrote me a letter of apology. Each page of the letter was smeared with tears, filled with regret for everything that had happened in the past life. Of course, he also included implied accusations. If I had been reborn, why didn't I warn him about the fire so he could avoid being crippled? People like him never wanted to live a decent day. I immediately instructed my assistant to arrange for a few of my good men to keep him company in prison. It would be too cruel for him to be lonely there. Callista couldn't last more than 3 months in the nursing facility and eventually passed away. When Uncle and Aunt Jonathan received the news, they merely muttered, "She deserved it," and handed over all authority to me to handle. I couldn't be bothered to be polite, casually dumping everything into the sewage. In truth, that was the most fitting place for someone as cruel, selfish, and shameless as her. Jonathan still persisted in sending me letters every week, without interruption, regardless of the weather. He thought I wasn't reading them, so each letter was written with extreme sincerity, filled with sorrow, and hopelessly formulaic. "As long as you read this letter, you will come to save me, just like in the past life." It was both foolish and laughable. As for me, right now, I'm managing multiple companies preparing to go public, so busy that I barely have time to breathe, let alone care about a person on his deathbed. I'll visit him when he dies, pretending to feel pity. After all of his family's assets, worth billions, were left to me. As for his parents, the ones he had longed for all his life, they now treated me like their own child, calling me every week to check on me. As for him, he was never mentioned again. Subscribe to the channel for more great stories. Yeah.